Good morning, Professor Malaguti. You
Good
were
morning.
re- Good morning. You were recently appointed president of Unidroit. Can you tell us what it's about?
UNIDROIT is one of the oldest international organizations in the world, and in fact, the oldest that we have in Italy. It goes back to 1926, and it is an organization on uniform private law, the unification of private law with a long-standing tradition of studies and legal instruments on this specific exercise.
And since when it is based in Rome?
It has always been in Rome. It comes from an idea of Italian scholars, and in fact, it is probably one of the best results of Italian scholarship. In fact, it is indeed an Italian idea since the very beginning.
Well, to what extent is this organization relevant in global governance?
It is extremely relevant in global governance. I must say that this is something that people never really consider. But unification of private law means to establish common set of shared principles. This means that the states, negotiators, and the market itself elaborate a set of principles that are shared and are consistent with any legal order. It is exactly the result of comparison and analysis of legal orders, try to find the solution that fits best. So this is essential for global governance, of course, mainly for commercial issues, not only, but mainly for commercial issues. It's essential as the role of law in global governance is indeed fundamental, much more than people normally consider.
President Malaguti, do you imply that the private sector has a relevant role in global governance?
In my understanding, yes. In my understanding, it probably always had. Now I think it is essential. I would say that now today we even blur the distinction between public and private. When you look at all the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, they do apply and are implemented by both the public and the private sector. And I would say that today the role of private is essential on the one side, not only because of multinationals, because it is indeed essential also what is done by other stakeholders, including the civil society, and because, in my understanding today, the real way of governing global phenomena is by way of public-private partnership, or, in any event, a common understanding of the rules of the game.
Um, what type of instruments are you talking about? And do you think that these instruments can help investments?
In the first place, let me tell what we do. There are some instruments that are very well known to the market. Some are probably a bit less, but we are known for the principles that apply to international commercial contacts. We are also known for one specific convention that today is celebrating its 25th anniversary. It is the Convention on Stolen and Illegally Exported Cultural Goods. But today we also have an extremely interesting instrument, which is the Cape Town Convention on International Guarantee, which is made out of many protocols on specific sectors. These are quite important and relevant for economic relationships for both big companies and also small companies, because it helps to guarantee financing and it's an extremely useful instrument for access to finance. And we even have a protocol that was recently adopted on agrobusiness. And this is also another area of work where we do a lot. Agrobusiness and contract farming and investment in land. So indeed, we do a lot also on investment. Finally, we are just starting work on digital assets. So you see from the kind of work that we do, it is clear that we work on access to finance, on the respect of the Sustainable Development Goals, on standard clauses and standard schemes for big companies. All of this has a bearance on investment, because we know that direct investments require sound and predictable environments. We do provide instruments that come from a sharing of understanding and of principles, which make the domestic country that the domestic legislation that adopts those standards to be sound and predictable. So these are one of the main tools for investment. And I hope that all states have this clearly in mind. Because sometimes you don't need to do really big negotiations on these topics. You can address these very practical issues and reach an agreement and an understanding that is useful for global commerce and global governance. So an interesting instrument that people normally don't consider when they work on global governance. I hope I gave you all the relevant elements to understand not only what UNIDROIT is, but also what is the role of this kind of exercise in our common understanding of global governance.
President Malaguti, last week you received a visit of Mr. Pompeo, the Secretary of State of the United States. Could you tell us about what did you talk about, or is it something very secret?
No, there is nothing secret. UNIDROIT has no secret at all. We were proud because you know that he came, he only visited, of course, the Prime Minister and the Minister for Foreign Affairs, but then he came to UNIDROIT with a very specific goal in mind. He signed the protocol of the Cape Town Convention specific on agribusiness. He came and he explicitly said that he was doing it because for the US, that specific protocol had a value of millions of dollars. So, you know, the US clearly understood the role of UNIDROIT and of that specific protocol for him. And he was suggesting that they will help also other countries to join this kind of protocol for better exportation. So I think he understood perfectly what this instrument can serve for, and of course for his own business, for his own country. But looking at the choices that the US administration is doing now, seems that they do come to a multilateral organization and sign a protocol, I think is an extremely relevant sign of the role of these instruments, also for countries that might not fully share the logic behind some organizations. So I think it was a positive sign, a very positive sign for us, but probably also for the understanding of this kind of instrument. No other secrets, but the fact that they really wanted to support the organization and that kind of instrument.
Well, we may say that this sign, this agreement reinforced the role of Rome in the international arena. We
Yeah.
had the World Food Program getting the Nobel Prize for Peace. So we wish you that maybe in few years, under your guidance, maybe even UNIDROIT may have this type of acknowledgement.
Yeah, you know, of course, we hope so. It's not the same as the World Food Program, but it is exactly in the same line. This kind of organization working for peace and development without, addressing issues that are more controversial, but really, on a daily work, and somehow also hidden because people again don't know so much, but this is the real work that is done day by day for the good of the global community. So I agree with the general principle, not for a Nobel Prize for UNRWA. I mean, we would of course like it, but it's not the same scenario as the World Food Program, but it is the same logic exactly. It is prizing this kind of activities as essential for global governance.
Thank you very much for your time and for your work, and see you around in Rome in the next days. Bye.
A lot. It's
Bye.
very kind of you. Ciao. Bye.